everybody? How's it hanging? How's it happening? You guys, what is this? Kevin from the Chord Progression Podcast. Brought to episode 2 Rocks, Rock and Metal Thrive. Wish you guys a happy Wednesday because, man, it's September 22nd. We were talking about a new song that comes out on September 24th with a band that I gotta say, become really good friends of ours. Not gonna lie, I absolutely love it. But before we get started, I want to thank our sponsor, Phoenix Fitness. Live shows, live concerts are back. You guys are in mosh pits, you guys are going crazy. But, you don't want to tap out. You want to make sure you experience the whole thing. So you got to make sure your fitness level is right. So you go to the gym, you lift the weights, you do the run, you do the cardio so we can pump you up and be able to withstand a whole entire concert load. But you want to make sure that when you're doing that and your fitness levels and goals are achieved, you want to make sure that you're recovering right and preparing right. So that's where Phoenix Fitness comes in with different supplements like pre-workout, Sim-Free, creatine, B-cell recovery, different proteins for morning, night, and for right after your workout, plant-based proteins, multivitamins, whatever you might need to achieve your fitness goals, Phoenix Fitness has for you in supplement form. Our listeners get 15% off at fnxfit.com using the code MSOTD at checkout. So please go do that because it helps get us money sometimes. So I want to thank Phoenix Fitness for sponsoring this podcast. And now to our main event. Guys, band is Throw the Fight. I've had them on the podcast before when they released Settle Your Sins last year. I got to see them at Rockfest this year perform live, and I did pay up on the first rounds on me. But I had Kade on the show. Kade doesn't drink. So I gave it to Ryan instead. Now, Kade is back, baby, because the band has a brand new song called Wake Up coming out on September 24th. So we get to talk all about the song in depth for you. And I'm going to put it to you this way before we even start. This song will hook you in the first 5 seconds. For sure. So, guys, everyone, welcome Kade back to the Chord Progression Podcast. Are you guys ready? Let's go! Yeah! Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, listeners of the Chord Progression Podcast. Last year, around this time, we had this man on the podcast talk about their album in 2020, Sell Your Sins, and it's a year later. We got a lot to talk about because they've been back out on the road, playing at Rockfest, playing with Beartooth. Oh yeah, playing with Beartooth. They got a brand new single coming out on Friday, September 24th that, my God, like I said to him earlier, I got 3.5 pages of notes on this song. I'm ready to talk about this thing as much as possible.
Got that early leak.
Got the early leak, so please welcome Kade from the band Throw the Fight. So Kade, welcome back, man.
Hey, thanks, Kevin. Thanks for having me back, brother.
Man, I'm always glad to have you back. Always a pleasure. And you know what? I got to say this. It was awesome being able to meet you in person this year, especially now the pandemic finally subsiding at some point,
right.
Live shows come back and all of a sudden you guys are at Rockfest. I'm like, okay, I got to go make sure I see this show and then just have a good time during that. And yeah, I was not going to be anywhere but like right in that front row area for that show. I wasn't missing
yeah, man, I saw you out there. You got a few points at you.
Got a few points. I think I got a couple of videos when I think one of them was a point. I'm just like, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that was a lit show. That was a good time.
It was a good time, and I'm a little mad at my friends because I'm like, hey guys, come on, go come see Throw the Fight, and everyone's like, oh, we're not sure. I'm like, you know what? Whatever. I'm going to see him. I'll see you guys later. And I'm like,
it's a festival, man. There's a lot of music to see. So, I mean, beggars can't be choosers. We're just like super stoked to get asked to, play an event like that. It's just, especially with just levels of bands and everything. It was a good time.
It really was. Was that your guys' first like full live performance since the pandemic?
No, we actually had a performance the weekend before. We played a festival in South Dakota, just more like a local punk rock, indie. It was bands from like all over the like Midwest that came, and we headlined that, and it was good though. I mean, it was like definitely a good show to knock the dust off and feel what it's like to perform. Because it'd been over, I think like 15, 16 months. And then that was actually only my second show as lead singer. So, there's a lot of kinks still to go. And I mean, honestly, the show was awesome. We played about 50 minutes, which was close to the Rockfest time. So we were, definitely knew we had to get our cardio in beforehand, but it went awesome, and definitely built our confidence. And then the very next weekend we played where you saw us, so Rockfest, so which we had an awesome time slot, great crowd. Again, so that would have been our third show, me singing. And yeah, it was awesome. I mean, we definitely found too, like songs that hit, and songs that you know, we just like having a good time with. And so then, kind of fast forward to last weekend playing with Beartooth and Wage War, we kind of had a really sick set list, and that was only 30 minutes. So it's just like, on and off, and it was great. So and with that, we just played the straight bangers.
Well, especially when you're opening up for Wage War and Beartooth. I have not seen Wage War, but I've seen Beartooth once. Again, but everyone knows what Beartooth like is live. I mean, the energy is going to be super high energy. Caleb Shumo's going to look like, a maniac on stage every step of the way. So when it comes to opening up for a band like that, you're going to want to make sure that you prime the crowd properly for them and really bring the energy so that when all of a sudden Beartooth comes, the energy level for the fans is up there. All of a sudden, Wage War, Beartooth come out, they hit heavy on the energy, and the fans are just rare and ready to go. So you guys played 30 minutes of straight bangers. Totally the way to go.
It was awesome. I mean, I can't say enough about like the Fargo crowd and the response to us. I mean, it pretty much rained all day, and it literally stopped raining 10 minutes before we went on stage. And we were just like, oh my God, like thank the rock gods, right? And we were like looking at all the Beartooth guys, and we are just like, this is going to be a tough day, because but it was still going to happen, rain or shine, but it was just going to be, who's going to come out, but man, it stopped raining and stopped raining the rest of the night. And we kicked it off, and then Stitched Up Heart was right behind us. They were just on for that one day. I think they were jumping on another tour. But yeah, I mean, like you said, it's just like every band was pretty, getting after it.
Yeah, because you take it because you guys opened up, then it was Stitched Up Heart. I know Dragged Under was supposed to be on that show, but they had the COVID issue, so they were out for 10 days, and that was one of the days. Then
which we're huge fan. I'm a huge fan of them. So all of us are like fanboying over them, and it was like canceled just a couple days before, and we're like, God damn it! Like we really wanted to hit it off with those guys,
I think you would have too, because even with me, I remember I did a video at the end of 2020, like the best albums of the year, most surprised albums of the year, and I made a concession. I was like, I have to apologize to Dragged Under because I started listening to their album after I made the video. I'm like, had I actually made the video later on after I discovered it, their album easily would have been on that list. Like, I love the thing. I'm just thinking, I had to call them like, I'm sorry, guys. I already made the video, already made the list, everything was done, but in post-production, I'm like, I gotta add this little disclaimer in there, and it's just me sitting on the couch. I'm like, yeah, sorry, guys from Dragged Under. That was, you can blame me for that one.
Yeah, I think they've got a cool thing. It's a good mix of, a bunch of different bands, but it's just like, it's super punk rock and upbeat, and obviously you listen to us, so my guys like to just play really fast. Sometimes not so great for a singer, but and that's one reason we want to play with them, just because it's kind of that thrash punk beat, but yet like transition of a hardcore vibe.
Well, plus because you never know if you guys end up meeting up with them, hitting off with them, because as a band that's growing, I mean they're on a national tour right now. Even though they're just opening, they're still on that national tour. Yeah. It's over time, maybe next year, the year after that, they could be on a headlining run as a national tour. But then when they're looking for someone to kick off the show from, or, be that band that's going to lead right into them as the headliner, all of a sudden you guys know them, you guys have a good relationship with them, boom. Now you guys are the ones going on that national tour with Dragged Under. Unfortunately, of course, because, well, damn you, COVID! Have to say that as well, because, well, it's kind of common now just to yell that out. But, of course, that's got to, put a kink in the whatever, wrench in the plans, whatever it might be. Just not the best situation, but got to make the most of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for us, we're always just we're always just like stoked to get in the studio and write and record stuff together. Like it just comes like so easy for us, and we just have such a good time. And and we're like, every time we put out something, we get a bigger and bigger response, which is super cool, because I feel like we're really pushing the buttons sometimes, or pushing it. I'm always wanting to push it a little further than everyone else, but and you get a taste of what people are vibing on, and and then we're just like, let's keep doing this. This is super fun. And then, jumping on those shows like a Beartooth and just being up there to crush is just, and having the response. I mean, we've been doing this a long time, even though, I'm new at lead singer just for the band, but I was always a lead singer previous. So, it's just cool for us to have that new live vibe and people react to it. And it's just different. It's just a different band altogether, I feel. But it's been really cool, and, get the responses we have when we have played live. So it feels good.
Well, I mean, it's definitely gonna be a different band altogether than what it was before when you were lead singer, or before you were lead singer, just because you're gonna get that change. So there's definitely gonna be a difference in the way your vocals come out, the way that it's gonna mix in with the backing and the instrumentals. But then, of course, then the pandemic hit, and that really changed everything due to the fact that you guys couldn't go out and play live. You did release an album during that time, but again, it's something where every band was going through a completely unique time in the world. Everyone was going through unique situations. So it was ridiculous. And you guys end up having to kind of like learn with you as the new lead singer kind of on the fly a little bit, just because you guys weren't able to test anything out live.
Dude, yeah, it was definitely a fun stripper for sure. Like we were stoked. We had a lot of like solid things in the works that we were really excited about, and we had goals and like a plan of attack, because we knew we'd been sitting on this record long enough, and we were excited to get it out and give everyone a taste. But then we were also really excited because we were sitting on a bunch of other tracks, so we were like kind of over the record to an extent, because it was just like, when we were like, okay, we can't wait to play this, and then was like, oh, we can't, okay, well, let's work on all the other new stuff, because we have to move on, and there's a new game plan. But I mean, it was a bummer, man. It was a super bummer. And but I think we did the right thing, where we just kept putting out singles. And I mean, we released like a Reimagine deal. Like, I wasn't not in the studio during COVID, so I was constantly like going in and trying to get pieces of music together so we could have stuff to release. And then it was kind of like, people have no choice but to like be online and digesting entertainment, whatever it might be. And, you're getting people to land on your band, and, you keep promoting it different ways and releasing videos. So, I think we pivoted business-wise pretty smart,
Oh, I'd have to say I totally agree with you. When you released the album, of course, you got a brand new album that came out, again, August of 2020 is when it dropped. And there's a lot of new material right there, but you weren't able to go out and play it live, of course, because of the pandemic. So when you release it, it's going to be new. People are going to talk about it. You never know what like playlist is going to get picked up on Spotify, Apple Music, streaming, whatever it might be.
Right.
But then, of course, as time goes on, more stuff's going to be released from other bands. So that's going to end up falling by the wayside. And you can't just wait to play it live, because had you guys just waited to play it live, again, it would have been 11 months from that time. And when it comes to people's minds, people are going to forget about it. So as you guys kept working, putting out new singles here and there and seeing the response to continuous growth off of it, you're going to continue to stay inside people's minds. And during the pandemic, when everyone had to be online to connect with people, it was, especially in 2020, what was the dominating topics? COVID and the election. And it was a very polarizing thing for a lot of people. So when it came time to just actually get to go and do something where you can actually talk with people, but it can be something that's a little bit more relaxed and not always doom and gloom. The two things people looked at were sports and music. And when it came to music, I mean, look at the Throw the Fight Backstage group on Facebook. Shout out to Joe Alfano on that one, because I always like to shout out Joe Alfano. What's up, man? Had to do that.
He's great.
But it's just seeing the continuous posts on that group as well. I think that really shows where it comes through, because all of a sudden a new song is ready to come out, new single is ready to come out, or it comes out, people are talking about it, getting ready for it. All of a sudden you guys are playing live. I'm starting to see pictures posted. I mean, heck, I was putting videos up there as well saying hi to Joe because I couldn't resist. I'm like, hey, Joe, how's it going, bud? Wish you were here, man.
Yeah, he's dope. Yeah, I mean, and we have it, like, we grew our YouTube channel just with the more consistent releases. And then also our email list is insane. So every time we're doing something, you're getting hit with the email blasts. I mean, I'm even signed up and, I get stoked. It's my band. But yeah, I think it's just staying connected some way during that time. And I mean, luckily, like funny enough, we played quite a few of Settle Your Sins songs before it came out. We played live. It was my first show. And I think we played like 8 of them, out of 10. And then we played 2 old ones. And, we definitely knew what was like going to work, and like Paper Wings, did well. I mean, we had some placement on, some media stuff, and then some radio stuff. Props to Ryan. Thanks, buddy. Which is awesome. But again, like, you can have a single on the radio, but if you're not touring behind it, you can't like see where it could really go, because it takes like something on the radio and then be touring on it and see that fan base grow because they're hearing it, every day. So that was a bummer. That was a huge, setback, but it still hit, for a lot of stations. So that was cool.
And hopefully, like, with the new scene guys are coming out with, it has that exact same idea behind it, where you guys are able to push it out to radio, maybe get a connection to get it on like a much larger station like Sirius XM Octane. Because especially, I got to use Octane as an example, because when it comes to rock and metal, that is like the premier station that whenever a song gets bigger, whenever I see a band really grow, it's like all of a sudden, start seeing picked up on Octane and things really go. A perfect example of that is Kingdom Collapse, where it's like their last 2 singles have charted on the big guns and they were consistently up there for weeks on end. It's just like watch them like, okay, like who else can follow that model and just see like, okay, how can they connect with the Octane fans? And of course, with that big Octane group that Mr. Joe Alfano has, again, that Octane group, Joe, absolutely awesome. Got to give you that. All of a sudden, you guys, we gotta start pushing that one on Octane, the Octane group as well when Wake Up comes out, because it has that same feel that could really jump into that, to the point where all of a sudden, if it gets enough push, if it gets enough focus, next thing you know, all of a sudden, you guys start charting on the Big Guns chart, and if you guys stay there for at least 2 to 3 weeks, people are going to end up looking at it. People are going to check it out. People listen to Octane all the time, and they're going to be hearing your song maybe 2 times a day even, and that's a huge thing, maybe 3 times a day. It's a big thing to really keep that, your name and your sound and your influence in the minds of fans going forward.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it all depends on, with every song that we do, there's always like a budget that goes into it, and, see where it goes. And as it, if it hits, we just keep feeling the machine, as you say, and see where it goes, but I agree. Like, I mean, I think it's definitely a great medium of a lot of the music that is on that particular channel.
Oh, yeah. And I know the fact that, money does end up becoming a player in it. So, and I know you guys are going to have a budget for this song. I don't know what the budget is. I don't want to know what the budget is, because that is definitely a more private matter. But it's
thousands and thousands of dollars.
I mean, I was hoping that it was going to be a nice large number, actually. But it's something where you, again, when it comes to the allocation of that money, when it comes to where you're going to promote it online, promote it to radio stations across the country that, are a little bit more, that aren't Octane, maybe focus on Octane more and see if you can get it pushed on there. Who knows what might be the case, but it's something that especially you guys are going to have to.
I just want a lot of people to hear it because it slams.
Well, like, I mean, like, even when I said, like, right before we started recording, like, that intro, I mean, it brought me in the first 5 seconds. And, like, even when you're talking in the beginning, I mean, when it comes to you and, under figuring out, is this song going to hit or not, you basically are having your 1-year-old daughter listen to it. And if she's getting into it, all of a sudden, boom, that's it. We're working on this one. This is the one.
Yeah. If she starts slamming and smiling, it's a hit. And she likes heavy stuff. So.
So for everyone out there, just know that Kade is raising his daughter the right way. Like rock and metal. Oh yeah, Architects. I mean, my God, what 1-year-old likes Architects? The cool ones. That's the answer.
Yeah. Shit.
I mean, I wish I was that cool when I was 1 year old, but
Dude, me too.
Yeah, I'm not even sure what I was listening to 1 years old. I remember it was like when I first started listening to music, 2-year-old me was listening to whatever my dad was listening to. So it was air guitar in the basement to Van Halen's "The Dream Is Over." Yes, the Sammy Hagar version. And then all of a sudden
Yeah.
going right into ZZ Top and then Poison. So that's where it all started with this guy. But
Yep. About the same. Like I have a whole old collection. My dad sent me all his old vinyl. So it's basically all the stuff I listened to as a kid and played with. And now like my child does the same thing. And but again, like she really only likes the New Architects, and then I'm trying to transition her into 100th, so it's a little more mellow. And but yeah, she anything that hits, she's like she gets bobbing right away.
well, I think if you ask me what one band I think you might want to try and like push on your daughter a little bit, yeah, well, outside of your band, of course, which I know she already listens to, you
Yeah.
know what I'm gonna say. Start playing some Rise Against in there and see what
Oh,
happens.
she definitely likes some Rise Against, and actually some AFI.
Ooh.
So, which I'm a huge AFI fan. So, I mean, sometimes like she has to listen to what I want to listen to too. So, you know.
So it can't always be Architects for those that wish to
No,
exist. No, you got to
no.
throw some variety in there. But if it's ever somewhere you're not sure
Posty.
what,
We were just listening to Posty, so she was getting down with that. So,
nice. But again, always now you know if something's not going right. Okay, let's just go back to the basics. Let's just bring it back to the center. We're gonna go with
yep.
Architects. We're gonna go with Animals. We're gonna call it a day. It's gonna be good. And then all of a sudden it goes in a black hole. It's like, does she like that heavy stuff? And all of a sudden, if she's playing, all of a sudden, next thing you know, if she came in, you guys started playing that stuff, you'd be seeing me going like,
Yeah,
yeah, like I'd be going crazy with it too.
it's awesome. It's one of the best.
Oh man, that is just fantastic. But I do want to jump into Wake Up Call, or wait, not Wake Up Call, Wake Up. My bad.
Oh,
Sorry
yeah,
about that one.
good.
I have the name of the song right here, and I'm just like, okay, I completely messed that up. All right, you can roast me if you want, but yeah, Wake Up, the brand new single coming out on Friday, September 24th. Like I
Yeah,
said, I went full on deep dive into this thing, and I am not
I love
afraid to
it.
say that. So when it comes to me figuring out songs, Kate, I always try and figure out like what the meaning is first of the song, so I can really understand the full flow of the song, how the
Yep.
instrumentals play off, how the vocals play into that to really tell that story, show that emotion. So I gotta ask, what was the full on inspiration and the meaning behind this song, so that I can see how close I actually got to it.
Yeah. So what's funny, like I was thinking ahead before this, and I was like, oh, you know what? I was like, the last time we did a podcast, one thing I like really enjoyed was um, just how deep you dove into like all the songs, and I was like, God damn, like I mean, I could definitely see where that comes from, or that's real. Um, because I don't really think about what a song is. Like words just come out. Like this song, funny enough, like I have notes like just crazy in my phone, and I have different files. So I'll have like my solo file, and then I'll have throw the fight file. So like different words will like come out to me, or I'll think of something. So I kind of just had wake up sick feeling empty, and that was it. And um previous, like I did one take of the vocal, and it was a completely different lyrical content, completely different, like all in general. And I was like, I don't know, because I was thinking that was it. Like I pretty much had all the words and everything. And like the lyric was like, "You're a rebel in disguise," something like that. And I mean, it was pretty cool, and it just didn't like feel right. So I was like, damn it. So I went to my notes, and like I said, I just had "wake up sick feeling empty," and then I just kind of started saying a bunch of words, kind of with it. That's just my deal, whatever. And so yeah, kind of fast forward, like um, tracked it, sent it out to the guys. They liked it. I actually first just had one verse, and I repeated it the second time. So when the guys heard the newer version, they're like, bro, like this isn't the same. And I'm like, well, yeah, you can't sing the same verse twice. Like how much they're paying attention, right? But yeah, so then I guess like thinking about or whatever the song is. I mean, I don't know. It's kind of for me, it's just like you kind of look at yourself in the mirror and you don't really know who you are anymore. You're kind of like fading in and out, or like confused, like, should I be this? Should I be that? And kind of a sense of lost, I guess, but also being like, you know, get your shit together and, figure it out and wake up and you know what you want or believe in or whatever. And, but yeah, I mean, looking back at it, I'm like, dang, this is kind of heavy. But I try not to dive too deep into some of my stuff, because I'm just like, it just comes from somewhere. And I'm just like, it all makes sense and comes together one way or the other. And, for me, I was just like, this is one of the catchiest hooks I feel I've written. So I was just like stoked on that alone. And then I was like, whatever comes of it, comes of it. But, I definitely like pushed myself vocally in different directions through it as well, and experiment a little bit different. So that was kind of really fun to do. And then we incorporate Ryan into the mix, who's just a screaming buffoon, who's like got this perfect scream. And it just like brings this stuff to like a new level, I guess, of where we've been before, I guess, and kind of bring in some old throwback thrashy, it's just nice. It just grits it up a little bit. And so, and to me, it's kind of like old, like Under Oath, like old Under Oath or something like that. So it's fun to push him a little bit, incorporate him more in some of the new releases. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and incorporate him, especially with that heavier vocal presence as well. Well, when I do the whole entire vocal breakdown of this song with you, I mean, that was, again, the first thing that just completely drew me into the song was right from the beginning when all of a sudden his vocals come in, because they come in quick. And just the build up to it is really quick, but the payoff is just absolutely incredible. But listening to you describe like where kind of the inspiration of the song came from as you were writing and as you're figuring it out, I kind of rather connected with that in a honestly pretty close way, because I'm taking a look what I have. I said the meaning, I think, is take a look at the moment when you look in the mirror and you no longer recognize or connect with the person that is looking back at you. As life goes on, things start to happen that end up trying to take you away from being you. And this could be a relationship. This could be societal pressure. This could be something with depression. Honestly, there are many different things that this could happen.
Yeah.
I bring up depression on this one specifically because that's the one that I relate to the most. Because again, like when I was in 2017, later in 2017, like this happened to me. And I looked in the mirror and I did not recognize who the hell I was. And it was all based upon that. So the song's about that moment when you realize that you are literally yelling at yourself in order to wake up and realize that you're no longer the person you are on the outside, that you truly are on the inside. It's like a wake up, stupid, or the true self will be asleep inside of you forever.
Right. Yeah. Spot on. I also view it too, just kind of how it's written. So it doesn't come across like as a first person. But like you can even look at, a friend of yours or something, a relative or whatever, and see that in them, like the lost, and you're kind of like almost peeping in on them, looking at themselves in the mirror, and you're just like, when are you going to wake up? Like you have all the answers. You just don't, act upon them or, take, get over the fear, and just wake up.
Yeah, again, I've seen that happen plenty of times with inside my family, with my friend group as well. But especially with me, especially when I listen to music, I'm going to relate it to the thing that hits the hardest with me. And with what I went through in 2017, especially kind of just going through the lyric and going through the progression of the song, like that's what just connected with me the most. So that's why I really connect with it with more of the personal note. Had I not gone through that, I would have probably, made the same connections to the base idea of the song and the base emotion of it. But I might have connected something to more of like maybe seeing something that my brother went through or seeing something that my best friend went through. There could have been a lot of different things to play, but I always like to kind of put more of, when I look at things, just ingratiate more of what I have gone through in life to it so that I can connect with it on a much deeper level.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, to be honest, I'm usually right that way. It's just like something that's super relatable. And especially I feel like maybe coming off of what we just went through. I mean, recorded this relatively quick. We had a gap in there where we actually had shows, well, Rockfest and everything. So we left a whole month open. But then we got back to work right away. And, so I think, probably subconsciously some way, like just through being a pandemic and just like, life slows down a bit and you're like, okay, like what do you really want? What are we really doing here? That type of thing too. So I feel like there's a lot of avenues of where that song comes from.
Yeah, and related to the pandemic, I feel like a lot of people had that moment during the pandemic where they looked at themselves in the mirror and they didn't really recognize the person that they saw because maybe before the pandemic, they were more concerned about certain things that, society that maybe wanted to do, maybe that your parents want to do, maybe your friends were expecting you to do.
100 miles an hour. You're just like, you're almost like people pleasing all the time, but you're never pleasing yourself. And then, once you have to slow down and take that break and almost isolate a little bit, you're like, okay, wait a second. Like, who am I doing this for? I don't have to listen to you or, some of that stuff. In a positive way, not like a negative, like riot way, but which is like figuring out who brings value to your life and that sort of thing. And I don't know. I think it's a pretty deep meaning song if people really want to dive into it. If not, it just hits.
Yeah, and again, it just depends on how people really connect with music.
Yeah.
With me, especially with all the music that I go through, I mean, I dive deep into this stuff as much as possible because that's just how I connect with it. I mean, before when I was younger, I just connected with the sounds of it, but now this is what I do, so I just go so much deeper into it. I know a lot of people that don't connect with it as deep on that level, but all of a sudden it's something where if you create a song that just really flows well together and just has this great pattern behind it, people are going to really get into it. Yeah, and then over time, they might start to pay attention more to the lyrics. And next thing you know, they get deeper into it and they start to realize where the song truly is coming from a meaning standpoint. Mm-hmm. Then they actually might take that moment, especially with this song, take a look in the mirror and then try and see if the person that they see in the mirror is the person that they feel like they are on the inside, or if that disconnect is there, and then realize already, start figuring out what is that disconnect? Where is that disconnect being caused? Right. And how can I remedy this? How can I fix this? Because I've had to go through that before as well. Even during the pandemic and maybe around November or December, I had the exact same moment where I'm like, am I really doing what I want to be doing? And all of a sudden it was like, I had a podcast that day. All of a sudden I'm like, okay, I got to do this in 10 minutes. Next thing I know, the band shows up. I see it on the screen and my energy level just rises. And I'm looking at myself while doing it. I'm like, you know what? I'm right. I know I'm doing what I want to be doing because I won't be feeling this energized every single time I see someone's name pop up on that Zoom screen and be like, okay, they're ready to come in. I'm like, yes, let's go. So all of a sudden I saw you come in here. I'm like, oh shit, he's in here early?
Yeah. Yeah. For real. Hold on 2 seconds.
Alrighty. I'm just going to hold on to myself actually like this. Just holding on. There is plenty of noise in the background. I feel like I have to give a play-by-play by this.
Sorry. My rabbit was like eating something and I didn't know what she was eating. And it was like a liquid death box that I left in there for my daughter. So I was like, I didn't know what it was. So, and she usually doesn't eat stuff. So I was like, oh, damn it. So sorry.
It's like, what did she get into? Oh, don't worry. When you said, hold on for a second, I was like this, just like, I'm holding on to myself. I got this. I couldn't help it. But now jumping even deeper into Wake Up, going in the instrumental side of things, because right when you started with the intro of the song, where I came from, it is like, it starts out with some of these more high-pitched synths and drumming that is really focused on the snare specifically.
Yeah.
And at first I'm like, this is kind of throwing me off because are we getting a lighter sound that's more alternative focus, or where's the snare coming from? I mean, it could go in many different ways. Yeah. But then we get a lot heavier with heavier guitars coming to take charge over the synth, and the drumming underneath keeps a similar pattern that includes a lot more tom fills in there. And I'm just sitting here thinking, wow, okay, this had me hooked right from the beginning. I'm not going to lie to you. I've said it a couple times, but this is where it came in.
Okay.
It's intriguing. And with this moment of odd sound, but then the heavier transition brings you to the point of when you're looking in the mirror, don't recognize yourself, and you get angry at what you see. It's the beginning of the change that you're going to be going through in that process, and especially with the song as well. It's the beginning of that moment. So I can start to see where I'm like, okay, I'm a little bit kind of disconnected with that right away in the intro because I'm not sure where it's going, but then to see where it gets heavier and how that plays into the song, I'm like, oh, that disconnect makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, sick. Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
And
it gets after it.
I was saying a lot of that comes from, again, I've experienced this personally, so I'm kind of like trying to pick apart like my own personal experience on this, but how like this was detailed, I'm just thinking, my God, this perfectly shows that in an instrumental side of things, where all of a sudden it's just like, okay, I'm not kind of discombobulated, you're looking at yourself in the mirror, not sure what you're going to see, and all of a sudden it hits heavy, and all of a sudden you get angry because, hey, I don't recognize that person, that's not me. What the actual hell? Yeah. What's going on? What's wrong with me?
Yeah, and then the chorus takes off.
Oh yeah, it just goes everywhere because then all of a sudden you get to the verse of the song and like the guitars kind of drop back with the drums more focused back in what was a consistent snare fill style, but it sounds like there's like a little bit of like a softer piano synth that is included all over the entire verse.
That's all Jeremy, Mr. Sir Jeremy Tarek, man. He's a producer. He's a beast. He adds a total new element to us. It's awesome.
I was intrigued by that because when you get past the realization point of not seeing yourself in the mirror for who you really are, it really does show that. And the drum pattern keeps the song flowing throughout this piece, but the piano synth creates more of that emotional and deeper realization throughout the whole entire song. So you're taking a look, when I took a look at it, like that piano adds more to the emotion, but I really like what the drums were doing here specifically because now it's like where that intro was, where the intro was coming from. Next thing you know, it's like, okay, now we're getting to the verse. But it still feels like a connected, cohesive piece because those drums are continue to carry the continuity.
They have that that drive. Yeah.
Yeah, so everything starts to really pick up there. But man, that like add to like that piano synth style thing, my God. Fantastic move. Just fantastic.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, and that's kind of one of the things I was saying, like, you know, we're trying to push the envelope a little bit too and add some of the more and more of those elements into us. Like, we don't want to be like in a box all the time of like, you have to be this way. And so I love all that stuff. I mean, I'm geeking out over some of this stuff now. It's weird, and it's all new to me, but it's pretty awesome, to dive into just that new element.
Yeah, because again, you never know where these new elements could potentially take you. You add a little more of this piano stuff there, maybe add some more of these string instruments like violins, cellos. It could add this whole entire theatrical idea and this theatrical influence to your music, where sometimes when I hear some of that stuff, I'm just getting all giddy and excited because, not gonna lie, I'm kind of a sucker for the theatrical side of music. Like, it just adds so much more of this pop in the end. If it's done right, which most time, I'm not going to lie, most time it's done right.
Right. Well, and another thing, going back to playing live, we run tracks, we don't have a bass player. We run tracks for bass. And then now we're just like, there should be no limitations. Like, we want the more biggest, fullest sound we possibly can and all the instruments. Like, who cares? We've got nothing to prove. It's just, it sounds better and it's what the song really is. We can't take an orchestra out, but if we can play the tracks, then you still get that feeling when you hear it.
Yeah, and when it comes down to it, there's going to be some bands that don't use any backing tracks, some bands that use some. It's becoming a lot more common today, especially with all the different digital electronic influences that can come into the music. And of course, you're not going to always have that around for live shows. You might have a guy sit in the corner on the laptop being able to run these backing tracks.
Love that guy.
Yeah, but then again, they're backing tracks. Like, it makes a lot of sense. It's going to add to this. It's going to make you a much better song.
You want a performance.
Yeah, and it's going to make the performance much grander. I mean, you're not going to always get something where, like, I use Skillet as an example because in live they'll bring on a cello player. And when they play songs that have the cello, like Not Gonna Die, Comatose, Rebirth, I'm like, okay, this is freaking awesome.
It's part of their show.
Yeah. Would it still be cool if they had to use a backing track at some point because the guy that was playing the cello, like, got sick one day or just, like, had to take a day off or something? Yeah. It still would sound fantastic. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I would rather have, I'd rather have that sound there, whether it's with someone that's live or with a backing track, than not have it be there.
Exactly. Yeah. It's fun to just play with those elements now.
Yeah, and you're seeing like go back to your daughter, loving Architect, especially you're seeing how many different influences and different like backing tracks, especially when they're going to be playing live, that they're going to have to add in there.
Right.
But it's going to add to the whole entire grander feel of that live performance. I mean, you could potentially add some other ideas in there as well that you might be playing around with other songs you're working on. You never know what might end up coming out. All of a sudden, you add this influence here, and all of a sudden, this electronic idea here, this synth part over here, this little idea, and all of a sudden, you could potentially have this incredible song out of nowhere, and you're not just structured and based through the limitations of, okay, we want to play this live, and we want to make sure that when we play it live, it's straight up live. There's no backing tracks. No, let your creativity flow, because you don't want to be restricted to. You don't want to put yourself into a restriction. You want to let that flow. And when you let that flow, all of a sudden, like this, you bring that piano into in the verses, and it just adds so much more emotion to the song and ties so much more in there.
It's moody.
It definitely is moody. Not the Moody Blues Moody, but, moody.
The good Moody.
The good Moody. Okay, going back in a wake up, because then you jump right into the pre-chorus, because the drums focus quickly on a heavier snare feel, and the guitars do come in with a rougher tone overall, and it does have a little bit of a higher pitch attached to it. And when I looked at it, the guitars in this piece help the song along by staying true to the building emotions of having to take that call to action and make that change, while the heavier snare focus adds more of that building anticipation. This also pushes the song even more forward and keeps it connected to what we saw in the intro and the verses. Again, with the drums, it keeps the song so cohesive and flowing through part by part. It's such a major aspect to have even though when you're like changing different ideas and just changing the way it's flowing, just that heavy focus on that just allows the song to just continue in one continuous way.
Yeah. Yeah. It keeps your head bobbing.
Pretty much. Yeah. And all of a sudden you're going to be playing this live and people are just going to be like, yeah. And then you're going to see me just like, whoa, just having a good time during the whole time.
Yeah, there's definitely going to be some broken necks on this one.
Well, for everyone that's going to, see Throw the Fight live, I got a good hot tip for you. Just do some like neck stretches, like roll out your neck, do some of that. Just make sure that, when you wake up in the morning, your neck's not going to feel like it's super duper stiff and fall off because, well, especially if it's like at a festival or something, you're going to want to keep going the next day. You're going to want to keep that energy up. You're not going to want to be like, oh, my neck, can't go, my bad.
Bang over.
Yeah, the concert hangover. And then you get to the chorus because the drums, they do get more of this consistent pattern. Guitars create more of this flowing pattern with the lighter and smoother sound that they're going with. Then the second half of the chorus, the drums slow up to bring the song into more of this melodic approach to create more of this heavier emotional impact that the message of waking up your inner self has. Again, the snare does stay more of that consistent piece of the puzzle here, as every major drum hit focuses on that snare. The focus is the key to keeping this all connected as we go through the whole song. Again, I can't talk more about, I could keep talking about these drums, honestly, where it just is connecting the song through and through.
You need to get Jeff on. You can hype him up for sure.
I mean, maybe the next time I can get Jeff on, but I always enjoy talking to you, Kade. So I'm just gonna, make sure that still happens.
No,
but
the drums are like probably one of my favorites as well on this track. It's cool.
So when it came to like coming up with the drums on this, especially with Jeff, like especially with keeping it consistent as you guys have done, what was that like? Just because again, it's going from different aspects, different paces, different focus on the snare, the toms, but everything still works in such a cohesive way that this song flows from beginning to end seamlessly. Yeah,
I think with the first verse, it just drops out. There's so much that drops out, and like you said, there's the piano, and then there's kind of this we have like this 808 groove that's kind of bass groove that's going, and then we just wanted the drums to keep going. And I don't know, we kind of Throw the Fight sound is kind of just keeping something going, driving, and keeping that that bounce the entire time. So this time it just got to be the drums. and then we just wanted to build different ways, like percussion wise and playing wise, how you could keep that but in different ways throughout the song, so it doesn't sound the same or repeated so much, I guess. So I think it just it just keeps it consistent and driving, which is what we do.
Yeah, it's kind of like I could call it consistency through diversity, where the drum parts from each section of the song are not going to be the same,
Right.
but they flow so well together from one to the next where, again, this song does not feel like you have a part that is way out of touch or a part that doesn't necessarily like need this big transition to fit in. It's just everything flows
Right.
from one section to the next, and the drums are a real big driver of that whole entire process.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think the only time they really drop off is in the bridge where it kind of does more of the electrical stuff, but it's still the drumming and we're just adding different pads.
Yeah, because even like with the bridge, now I gotta take a look at that because I like the song starts again. You bring more of that piano synth part that then adds that melodic drumming that does focus more on the snare once again, and because that more melodic part to it, I think that's where you're really coming in with it, where it does have a little bit of a softer feel because you're not as quick and consistent on that front. You're still consistent on that front, but it's a lot slower. And then this takes us into the outro that slowly builds back into like that chorus style instrumental, and it kind of starts us out back at looking in the mirror again. And the way this song outros makes us make a choice on what we want to do. Do we want to make that change or do we want to let it take us over? The song calls for making that change to your inner self, which right at the end of this, especially as we've gone through the whole entire song, is the smart way to go. So you're really building up to this point where you're giving this realization point to us. And at the end of it, you're giving us the hope, but also the call to action. It's like, what are you going to do now? You've gone through this mentally. You've understood the song. You've really felt the whole entire thing. You've felt that maybe you can go and look in the mirror and realize that who you want to be inside and who you are inside does not show what's on the outside. So how can you start to make that change? It has that call to action, or it kind of looks and says, are you going to be like this for the rest of the way? Because
again,
are
you going to be this way for the rest of your life? Yeah.
It's life. You only get one shot. So it's kind of like with baseball. It's life. You only get one shot. Why would you try for a bunt single?
Right. Enough said, right?
Me and my sports house, I always think about that when it comes like with you only get one shot at life. I'm like, why wouldn't you want to swing for the fences? And, why would you not want to do that and be like, oh, I'm just going to,
why are you going to bunt?
Or hope for the intentional walk to first.
That's a safe route. That's it. Anyone can do that.
It's like, no, I want to hit that thing 520 feet, and I want that thing to end up on a different street that's out of the ballpark.
At least a pop fly. I mean, shit.
If I hit a pop fly, if I hit Warning Track
Park, at
least I know I tried.
Right.
That's kind of the way I like to look at it. And now, gone through the instrumentals, but now it's time to go deep into the vocals because, well, that's like another good part about it. Plus, especially with you here, Kade, the vocals, I mean, this is basically your section right here. So this is going to be where a lot of the
little sweet spot.
So let me get a swing of this. I just want to make sure I get this right. So like with the intros, we have you saying wake up in this rather higher pitch to begin the song. But then the transition, the second part of the intro, the unclean vocals, and you said Ryan did those, right?
Yeah, the screaming.
Yeah.
Where it's like, wake up, wake up. Yeah.
Like that's when they came in.
Well, it's like it's him and I mix, but he's the more in the front. Yeah.
All right, gotcha. But then like right when that came in with that heavier, harsher vocal, like this is the moment that I got hooked into the song. And it was right here. Like this is the moment. This is because I have been at that moment, and those heavier, unclean style vocals made me feel like I was looking in the mirror myself, didn't realize who I was, and got so angry that I smashed it to pieces. It was this moment, and it connects so well to the theme of the song. It gets you right in the song in the first 5 seconds. And I know when it comes to streaming, Spotify, and people's attention spans, it's like if a song doesn't hit with you in the first 10 seconds, like, oh, I'm just going to go transition to something else. Fans would be like, okay, or new people, all right, let's listen to this, see if it gets me hooked in. 5 seconds in, it's like, okay, we're set, we're in, we're here for the whole thing, let's go.
You have to give it to them. It's just the way it is.
And again, a good test of playing this for your daughter, seeing how she was going to react to it. I'm pretty sure after that first 5 seconds, she must have been going like, yeah.
Oh, she knows. She starts hitting it and starts clamping. She knows it's dad singing for sure.
And she's like, I'm proud of Daddy. Woo!
Well, and too with like my voice and then Ryan's and the dynamic, especially in this song, it's almost like two voices of reason. I'm kind of singing the lyrics and telling you how it is or all that, and then you got like almost Ryan's like the little devil demon, just like wake up, let's it's time, and it's just like progresses. So I think you really can emotionally it hits that way with him screaming that way.
Yeah, it's kind of like a very similar to what Ice Nine Kills had when Justin Timberlake was still in the band, because when they had that for the last 3 albums, it was a lot of times, especially with their story mode, you'd have like the unclean vocals from Spencer Charnas, the unclean vocals from JD, and the pitches were completely different. So you're able to play off on that, like, you know, evil side versus good side of things just with that. With this one, though, it wasn't like an evil versus good thing. It was more of like the understanding of, you know, maybe the you at the forefront saying like, okay, this, I have to come out, I have to, you know, wake up and do this. And then with the heavier vocals, more like the inner you, like finally being like, get me the fuck out of here! I need to live.
Yeah. Yep.
So it's somewhere like, you know, two different style of vocals, but they're both the same. It's kind of like they're both the same person in a way. It's just how it's being presented. It's one's more of like that, you know, slow, more, you know, hatching out of a
voice
shell.
Of reason.
Yeah, or like coming out of your shell kind of thing, and the other one is basically bursting through a wall.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is Ryan.
But you need both of those, especially for something like this, because if it's something that's going to be, you know, that deep within you where you don't recognize who you are, and on the outside versus the inside, it's going to take a longer process in order to really fully bring that out. So that's where that, you know, where your vocals kind of come in to kind of show that, where it's going to be a process, but it's going to be a process that's worth it. Where Ryan's vocals come in, it's more of that point where to start bringing it out, you know, you got to get angry, you got to get mean, and all of a sudden you got to start, you know, maybe smashing the mirror to really have that inciting moment. Right. It's somewhere it's like, it's going to be both that are going to have to happen, but
it's a call to action.
Yeah. It's like, here's the call to action, and yours that kind of bring that healing process to a way to really kind of show how this emotion has affected you, on top of how to use this in terms of figuring out how to bring out that inner self that you truly see within you to the forefront.
Right. Yep. Spot on. Yep.
Gotta love when those vocals mix so well together, because then we're going to go to the verses, because you take your vocals and use this like more of this mediums kind of pitch compared to, you know, the other songs. I've seen some higher, lower ones. Yeah. To follow along well with the overall pace of the verse, create more of this building feel to the overall emotion of the song. And the building feel creates the emotion that we're building into that moment where we're finally going to take a stand for ourselves. And your vocals provide this emotion. Again, like I just said, the build up, the kind of like the hatching process of this. It's going to end up happening. It's going to take time, but using your vocals here, it shows that building emotion to where this is actually going to happen, instead of that, you know, brash in your face kind of style where all of a sudden it's just going to break loose. No, this is something where it's going to take time, but it's going to evolve, and it's going to make you a better person in the end.
Right. Yeah. Spot on.
Just keeps rolling. Then we go to the pre-chorus, because the instrumental speed up. Your vocals do go more melodic with, you know, the similar pitch in the verses. And where this ended up really working out, in my opinion, is how the builds on the emotion of calling out yourself to wake up. Faster instrumentals make it so that the power of the moment is building in the forefront, but the more melodic vocal pattern from you adds more of this mystic build to it as well. It's a contrast that really does work out well in the end.
Yeah, the lightning strikes me part.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite parts of the entire song.
Yeah, I love the fact that I always am a big fan of the fact that when instrumentals can be going faster and the vocals can be going more melodic, I love whenever that can happen and works on a really like fantastic way, just because it's not the easiest thing to do, because you're dealing with two completely different contrasts, but
you're able to stay in the pocket.
Oh yeah. But you're able to use the instrumentals to build up that anticipation, to build up that, you know, realization moment. But your vocals provide that feeling of the emotion really starting to kind of creep out towards it.
Right.
So it adds so much to it on both ends, but how contrasting they are, they're all going back to the same goal.
Yes. Yep.
And I think, again, that's like when it comes to the difference between, you know, contrasting melodic vocals or melodic instrumentals with faster instrumentals or fast vocals, whichever one it is. Again, you're going to be contrasting both. When you're able to understand how different parts can bring forward the same feel and really hit on that emotion in the same way, I mean, it's magic in a bottle right there.
Right. That's what we're going for. Straight magic.
Oh, absolutely. Then we get to the chorus, and you end up taking your vocals, start really play along with a little bit more of the slightly slower instrumentation that we had seen, provided that call to action feel. But then the call and response with melodic yelling and singing in the second half of the chorus feel like the outside you is calling out to the inner you. And the real you is playing on coming out at this very moment. It really plays well in the overall theme. In that mix, I am absolutely here for 100% of the way.
That second half of the chorus, the fading in and out, I don't know, that's constantly in my head. I don't know. I was super stoked when that came together. We had totally different ideas with that second half. And then I was just like, man, I just keep hearing fading in and out. And Jeremy's like, yeah, that's the catchiest part. So we just figured out how to time those in. And then Ryan came in, echoing the, his version. And you're just like, it's like an echo chamber of just like fading in and out, wake up, dude.
Yeah, it is one hell of a hook, but again, it is a catchy hook. But the reason for that is because it plays so well into the style of the song. It plays so well in the style, the emotion that you're trying to work with on this, because you're really having that call response between what your vocals kind of portraying more of that outer you, or that like conscious you that's like, okay, I know what's going on, but I can see that I'm not the person who I am on the inside. And then you have Ryan coming with those yells. It's just like, you just like ready to burst at the seams, like, let me out of here, let me live.
Yeah, that's Ryan.
Sounds just like Ryan. And then we jump on the bridge in the outro, and your vocals, they get distorted with a higher pitch and a harder to hear melodic style, like the air you is trying to come out in the bridge. And then to transition to the outro, we get that unclean like wake up, and then it takes into Kade's more melodic high pitched style vocals with some of those more yells in the background to back it up. And to me, this works at times. I'm not gonna lie, it works, it doesn't. It all depends upon your mindset on this. When it works is when you're thinking about it. The unclean vocals are you on the inside, and the cleans are you on the outside, and they're finally starting to work together to bring you back to life. However, if it were me, this is me personally though, where again, something like this, I connected more like something rougher to show this, because when I went through this, the rougher, more angry me and the inside coming out really took hold of that to make it happen. So when it comes to the outro, honestly, I like the fact that you guys have both those vocals in there, but really when it comes to that call to action style, it's going to hit people differently, a lot of based on what they have really hit on in their own personal lives and how they're going through, or what they're going through. Absolutely. So it's something where there's a lot here for everybody. It takes a lot of different ways, where me personally, I know what I went through, and it doesn't exactly match up, but then again, it's not going to always exactly match up. I totally understand that.
Oh no, actually at the end, we just wanted it to be like a bunch of almost like old Taking Back Sunday, where it's just a lot going on. I'm singing one thing, I'm singing a couple different things, Ryan's screaming stuff, and just really filling it out and just make it heavy and fulfilled. We almost wanted that whole ending to be all the hooks. I wrote it at the very end, and we were like, oh, this is really catchy, but then it ended up just being at the end, which ties the song together, I feel. So but yeah, we just were like, how can we do an old Taking Back Sunday and just a bunch of things going on? And so that part was like super fun to play with. And I don't know how many vocal ranges I'm hitting in that with harmonies and stuff, so it was really cool.
I'll say there's definitely a lot of them. And again, when it comes to that call to action point, by you hitting all those different harmonies and just how much is going on in there, everyone's going to relate to something to that at some point with some of that emotion. Where again, when you had a little more, when Ryan had those like backing screams in there, of course, I connected with those a little bit more. And that's where I was thinking like, oh, I kind of thought maybe going heavier would have been a little bit better. But then again, that's me giving my personal opinion on it, where of course, not everyone's going to connect with that. I totally understand that. But really what you guys went with, it's the full emotion that is there, and it concludes the song the way you're going to need to conclude it, and the way flowing from beginning to end, everything flows perfectly.
In 3 minutes, it's pretty cool. There's a lot of heat in there, as we say.
Oh, God, yeah. It's 3 minutes of straight heat, because when I wrap up my overall analysis of the song, because I put overall, through the fight side to take a song about that moment you finally realize the inner you and the outer you aren't aligned, and made it so you felt like you would build to that moment of waking up in order to be who you want to be in life. the heavier unclean transition in the intro hooks you right in with the weight of that moment that the song is trying to show. And the consistent snare shows the build of the song to that moment where you're going to say enough and finally take a stand for yourself. Kade, your vocals contrasting in the pre-chorus, especially with the overall pace, really help build this notion of wake up, and the chorus absolutely delivers. When we get to the outro, I both like it because, again, there's a lot going on there. Yeah. There's so much you can connect with. And I also think you could have gone with a heavier direction as well. But not going to lie, you could have gone anyway, and I would have been like, this still absolutely freaking works. So, again, personal opinion, but what you guys came out with absolutely works. But still, nonetheless, this song will bring you in right from the get-go, and it will not let you go throughout those whole 3 minutes.
Spot on. Yeah, thanks, dude. I was stoked that you got the early release when Ryan was like, "Oh, hey, check out the SoundCloud." Like, I was like, "Oh man." Usually we're pretty tight on that stuff, so
yeah. I was like, I'm not asking, just hope for the best.
We don't really share a lot.
When he said, I'm like, all right, line for me to run through this thing. And I think probably for me to run through this thing, I think it probably took me about maybe 35 to 40 minutes. Like, I wasn't going to miss a beat on this thing for what I thought of it.
Yeah, I sent it to a really good buddy of mine that I usually always send him stuff. He used to be in my band a long, long time ago when we lived in Washington, and then I moved to Minneapolis. But because he just shoots it to me straight, sometimes. And yeah, so I sent him this. I don't even think I had harmonies on it yet. There was Ryan on there, but I don't think I had harmonies yet. And yeah, his reaction and everything, I was like, okay, this is going to be good. It felt good. I mean, I feel like the Fallout was a great one too, and it got us hyped to do something like this again. So yeah, I mean, for a couple of guys, heavier is always their direction, and I'm always pulling back. Like, I'm good for heavy, but it's got to be tasteful. So but yeah, I mean, we're just stoked that it's gonna be out in a quick turnaround, because like I said, we just finished it a couple of weeks ago. So we have the little link, and yeah, I think we just landed a playlist already today. So we're looking forward to that. I mean, that's where we kind of have lucked out over the last few releases and everything. So and playlists are just key, and can't say enough good things about them. I mean, I listen to them constantly and always discover new music. And yeah, I mean, I feel this one's got a good mix of everything that people can dive into.
Oh, absolutely. There's a lot going on here where, again, it depends on what you like, but there's a lot of things here, especially for someone who likes a little more the heavier side of things when it comes to something this deep, like myself, of course. Those heavier vocals that Ryan's up putting there add so much more motion to it, and it makes your vocals and the rest of the instrumentals just really stand out with that full-on contrast. And there's going to be people that really like your style of vocals and how that's going to play off, and they're going to like how Ryan's vocals end up accenting yours and how the instrumentals really end up working with it. And then the contrast with the faster instrumentals in the pre-chorus, and then you with the much more melodic vocal set. Again, there's going to be a lot here for people they'll absolutely clamor over. But again, not going to lie, people are going to get hooked in the first 5 seconds right when they hear that transition. It is something that just,
that was the goal.
Like I said, when I first heard in the first 5 seconds, I literally just went back and was like, whoa! Whoa! I was blown away by it. I'm just thinking, my God. So getting on a playlist, yeah, it's definitely going to be something for you guys to really hit on this song and really continue to help grow the band, grow your overall influence in terms of, the metric that everyone's using now is Spotify monthly listener count. But of course, all of a sudden, next thing you know, I'm just hoping like, okay, let's start, seeing some of those increases. All right, we're going to see that increase go to this number, go to a couple more 100,000. Next thing you know, I'm like, okay, the fight's at 1 million monthly Spotify streams every single month. And it's consistent. Yeah. And then I'll look and say, this is good. This is very good.
Yeah, you're just constantly chasing, so for us, we're just like, how can we keep putting out music and people give a shit and keep pushing ourselves? I mean, I love nothing more. And we were talking about this earlier, is just going in the studio, whether Chris has sent me a track or I have something I'm working on, or and just creating something from nothing finishing it and being able to let people hear it and people, have a response or care. And I think it's just awesome because, we can release a song and the whole world can hear it. And I mean, I love shows. Don't cut, get me wrong, but you go play X amount of shows, it's 500 people, 1,000 people, 2,000 people, and which you gain followers and stuff like that. But there's constantly new music coming out and you're new to somebody. And I think we said that last time. And even the music we released during the pandemic, there's that our numbers attest to that, because it's like, hey, get up on a playlist, throw the Fight Who, and the first song they hear is a Wake Up. And which is crazy. When we played with Beartooth, I actually had a father, his kid, and one of his buddies come up. They're like, oh my God, after we saw you play, we got in our car and listened to like our whole catalog. And, they came up to me like during Wage of War. And I'm like, you just left and went and sat in your car? And I'm like, oh man, to hear the change in the band and where it's at now and all that stuff. It was pretty cool to hear from just, some stranger to me and a brand new fan. And it's like, all right, that's pretty cool. And, we told them obviously Wake Up's coming out and keep looking for stuff. And they're just like blown away that we're putting out music, still. and we're still shocked.
Hey, you know what? It's when you have moments like that, then that, what you're doing is absolutely worth it, to the point where someone is going to go to a show, see you guys perform, and then immediately leave the other car to listen to more of your stuff, and then come back and be like, guys, it was freaking awesome.
Yeah, they were naming songs that came out years and years and years ago. And it was just really cool to see that and to be able to offer that. Really, I feel like there's so many new bands out there, right? And they've got one record or two records or whatever. And we've been doing this so long that we've got, stuff that I wasn't even on, but, multiple full-length albums and EPs. And since I've joined, we've actually released more music, almost like a third of our music since I've been at, like, released so much. And we've been around for a long time. And now it's just like I was saying earlier, it's just so fun for us to write and create. And anytime you're going to butt heads or not agree, but for the most part, we know what we're going for and keep pushing the limits. And that's just been the most fun I feel with this new path of the band.
Yeah, again, like with this song with Wake Up, when you guys add that piano to the top of the verses, it just it adds so much more to the emotion, and it allows you guys to, again, not keep yourselves in this certain box. It allows you to really work to go forward. And all of a sudden, again, with how you guys can use backing tracks when you're playing live, you can add this sound fully in there. Yeah. I mean, a couple days before we shot this, I ended up seeing Falling in Reverse live. And of course, they're using backing tracks due to how much electronic influence they're going to have on their stuff. But it just, again, that's going to add to the songs. I still remember, I'll still say this pretty much now forever. It's listening to Drugs by Falling in Reverse live is so much better than listening to it on the, like, as it's recorded version. And the whole purpose of that is because the electronic tone, they drop it to a certain point where it just sounds darker. And it just adds a whole different element to the song. I remember seeing it live, I'm just like, oh, whoa. Yeah, you're not, if you don't have backing tracks there, of course, you're not going to end up being able to get that. But I want to hear that song live as much as possible due to something like that. So if you guys are going to end up bringing something like this in with Wake Up with that piano thing, and all of a sudden you guys are going to have a backing track for it, I would much rather hear you guys play it live and have that backing track over it than not hear it at all. Because it just makes that emotion so much grander.
Right. Yeah, and that's, all the last few singles we've done, we've added so much to the backing tracks. Like the Fallout, when we play that live, is so, it's so in your face and there's so much going on. And I think we took some of those elements because we did play live, like, oh man, let's add more of this, because it just comes across so much cooler live and full. And I don't know, I love all that production stuff and like the dancey stuff and all that. I'm a sucker for it.
And I think a big thing of this is don't be afraid to use backing tracks, people. Tastefully using backing tracks. You gotta put tastefully in there because you don't want to just like overdo it to the point where all of a sudden you're up there and it's like you're having the backing tracks like completely overpower everything else. No, do it tastefully.
Yeah, it's a fine line. Yeah.
It's a very fine line. But again, you guys playing the Fallout Live, it showed you exactly how this can work.
Oh yeah, you probably saw it. Yeah.
Yeah. I was there. I saw it.
Yeah.
I experienced this live, man.
Yeah, that one hits. I love it.
Oh, it absolutely hits. And I think that was the one I was looking around. I'm like, yeah, people are definitely getting into this more than anything else right now. So, yeah this is definitely going to be a keeper for them.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, one thing I got to ask is, of course, now, we know that Wake Up is coming on the 24th, but what else can we expect in the future from you guys? I mean, we still got, almost like a third of 2021 still left to go.
Yeah. Right now, I mean, we have a pretty solid batch of pre-production. We're going to start in October and fine tune some of those. I've kind of combed through the ones that I like and already kind of hear some melodies or whatever. And we're just going to fine tune some of the pre-pro. And then we have a couple producers that we want to work with and they want to work with us. And so, we're looking to probably record parts of those or sections of those early of 2022. They're in different parts of the country, so we'll see what works out with timelines. And then from there, whether we release them as a project or keep doing singles, I feel like even in between there, we'll probably drop some other stuff. I'm antsy. I can't just sit still and not have stuff. I'm always just like, what about this song? And keep pushing it. But right now, I think our main focus is fine tuning some of these pre-pros. And then, like I said, we've got some guys we really want to work with and see where that kind of takes us and push the envelope a little more.
Oh boy, so it looks like we might have something absolutely epic to come on in 2022 from you guys. I mean, if you guys are going to look in, you guys got a lot of ideas down, start to fine tune some of them, work with different producers, really see where you guys can take your different influences, really create something absolutely grand. Next thing you know, 2022 is going to come around. You guys are going to release something maybe large, maybe an EP, maybe an album. Who knows at this point? But what might end up happening is it might be a whole batch of singles. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, the beauty of our band is it's just us. Like we have no timeline or anyone. Like we're restricted to anyone. But we just know we always just like putting out music, whether it's a single or an EP or whatever. We've never really done an EP except for the very first record a bazillion years ago, and but we'll see. I mean, like I said, I'm the antsy one and always just wants to keep releasing stuff, but we got some solid stuff and looking forward to see where it takes us because pre-production always changes. So we're pretty excited about all the new stuff.
Man, now you're making me excited about the new stuff. And I mean, Wake Up is, by the time this podcast comes out, will be out in 2 days afterwards. But then once it's out, be like, when can I get more? I mean, I'm going to be just as antsy as you are.
Yeah, no, everyone's a music addict. And, so you're just like, what else you got? People burn out on that song for a little while and then what else you got? So we'll have something, I'm sure.
Awesome. Well, then I think I got one more thing besides that, which is because I did see you guys live at Rockfest.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed seeing you guys live. So when's the next chance I'm going to give you, I might have a chance to see you live because, well, I want to do it again.
Yeah, I mean, right now we don't have any shows on the books. We did the Beartooth thing, and with shows and everything coming back, everything is booked out so far in advance. So we definitely knew we wanted to land a couple shows, and that made sense. We'll see what happens this fall. If opportunities come, we're going to take them. We're not going to chase them. We spent so many years like chasing tours and thinking we're getting this and this and that, and it's just like constant letdown. We're just like, what, let's just dial it back. If an opportunity comes, we'll discuss it. If not, we're focused on putting out music and content based around it. So that's what's just exciting. It works for us, it works for our schedule, and but definitely if shows are popping, we're going to be pushing them. And but yeah, we're just kind of take them as they go.
Well, it looks like I'm going to be sitting here in anticipation for a while on this.
Me too. Me too.
But I will say this. I totally make sense with where you guys are coming from with this, where you guys had done that for many years where it came to chasing shows, chasing tours. And now it's you guys are doing things the way that you want to do them. You guys are really focusing on, with this band, doing it the way you want to do it instead of doing it the way that you think other bands are doing it, that you should be doing it, or maybe what some label wants you to do. No, you're doing the things your way. And I think that speaks to where the quality of music comes from and the quality of the live show comes from, because now when you guys are doing it, you're doing it and you want to do it. It's not like you're being forced to do it and you get burnt out on it. So when you guys
I don't think we were ever that way, but it's just like you're like I said, you're just constantly always chasing, after the next thing. And, especially coming off of 2020 when we did have things and then things happened. But, it just kind of put things in perspective of what we want to do. And, we have a different environment than a lot of other bands. We got kids and grown-up jobs and all that stuff. And which is fantastic. I mean, to be honest, it's just, we're always just like so lucky that we're a band that gets along and we love each other and we get to keep putting out music that people want to hear. And I mean, at the end of the day, you can't ask for anything better than that.
Nope, you can't ask for anything better than that. And it all boils down to one thing: sheer happiness.
Right.
And just talking with you and just seeing how your response to that was, and just the facial expressions, everything about it. Yeah, the happiness is absolutely genuine in that.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, it's almost nice to not have like the constant go and trying to, you gotta get the managers and all this stuff. We've had all that stuff, and right now it's nice to not have that push and that stress. It's just like, hey, look, we want to record something, cool, let's do it. If we want to do this, we want to shop producers, cool, and we can do whatever we want.
And that's, again, just shows the happiness. I mean, you just seeing the smile on your face on that. I'm like, yep, this is genuine. I totally know this. I can see it right there.
Yeah.
So it's true. Well, I mean, now I'm just going to be sitting here waiting in anticipation for the next Thrill the Fight show I'll be able to go to, because, well, if I see it and I can make it, I'm there.
I'm still recovering from the last weekend. So I'm definitely sore from that one. People were crazy, man. They were rowdy. I had to stop like a fight in the pit and everything. It was, people were out to rage.
Well, it's live shows. They're back after 16, 17 months. We got a lot of pent-up energy we got to let go of.
A lot of pits going on.
A lot of pits going on. Sometimes they get a little dangerous, but that's where I've been working out consistently and heavy on the cardio for the past year and a half. So I'm like, I know this moment is coming. I know it's going to get ready. And now I'm just like, it's here. I'm ready. Let's go.
Yeah.
Well, Kade, as we close out this podcast, I like to always give you a chance to say anything. I mean, we just talked about a lot of stuff, but I want to give you a chance to say anything you want to say. Plug whatever you want to plug. So at the moment, Kade, man, the floor is yours.
Check out Wake Up September 24th and probably a video shortly after that. And you can follow the band Thrill the Fight MN on Instagram, thrillthefight.com. I'm at kadecats.com. Kade Cats on Instagram, Kade Cats Music on Instagram. Kade Cats. That's it.
That's it. Well, now it's time for me to end this with three things. First things first. Yes, Wake Up comes out on September 24th. You're going to want to make sure you follow along with Thrill the Fight and follow along with Kade as well. So much like I did with the first episode I did with Kade, second one's going to be the exact same way, where you look at the scripts of the podcast, you're going to see something that says find Thrill the Fight online. Links for all their socials, all of Kade's socials, YouTube, where you can stream the music, where you can find them online, buy some merch. Everything will be there for you. So you can click, bing, bang, boom, keep tabs on the band, follow along with them. And one thing I'll also do is because, that Thrill the Fight backstage group, it's a great group to be a part of. You might want to be a part of it too. Link will also be in the description below for that as well. Thanks, Joe.
Thanks, Joe.
I'd always give that. Second thing is, remember the first time I had you on, I always like to make the promise of when I get to see you perform live for the first time, first round's on me. You don't drink, so Ryan ended up taking that one.
I was very, very excited about that, yes.
Well, how about this? Because, again, I still enjoy having you on the podcast and love doing this stuff. Let's go for round 2.
And Ryan will enjoy that.
Oh, I know he will. It's not even an issue. It's gonna be like, hey Ryan, yeah, I had Kade the podcast once again. You remember that? Yeah. I made the promise again. Here you go.
They definitely appreciate it that I don't drink now because I get all my drinks. So
all of a sudden, I mean, if the other guys in the band, if they're going to be around them, they'd be like, "Hey man, can we get one too?" It's going to be like,
yeah.
It's going to be like a long yeah. And so like it's not like a yeah. No, it's going to be like yeah. Yeah, I'll be right back. What do you want though?
It's great.
We'll do something like that. So all right, Kade. Again, like the last time, I cannot end this podcast by saying goodbye for a number of reasons. One, well, again, that's too final, and we've shown that it's not final because I've seen you perform live. I remember you saying when I saw you live, like, we got a new single coming out sometime soon. I've been, monitoring for this stuff. Like, when I saw like that it was going to be announced, I'm like, okay, we're doing this again.
Hell yeah. Yeah, thanks again, Kevin.
Oh, you're very welcome. Again, I would love to do this again with you, so gonna keep monitoring stuff. Next time something big comes out, ready to go. And then, of course, once you guys are back on the road and I get a chance to see you live, I'm there.
Swing out. Let us know.
Oh, I'll let you know. So on that note, Kade, it's not goodbye, man. It's see you later.
All right, brother. Thanks again, Kevin.
Well, folks, that was Kade from Throw the Fight once again. I always love having Kade on the show. I'm not going to lie. I love talking to the guy. I love following along with him. And gotta tell you, he's raising his daughter right if she's loving architects at 1 year old. My God. Kade, you're doing a great job. Absolutely love it. Absolutely love having you on the podcast, man. So thank you once again. Thank you, Throw the Fight. Remember, Wake Up comes out on September 24th. So make sure you go find it. You go stream it. You go, purchase the single when it comes out. All links to find Throw the Fight, to listen to the songs, to get connected to the band are in the description below, along with us with MSOT Rocks. You got Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You can find Kade on there as well. I've got his links on there as well. YouTube. I mean, when it comes to the podcast, you can also listen on Spotify Podcast and iHeart Radio, also Amazon, if you're not watching the video on YouTube. Yeah, got all that stuff. So make sure you stick in the know with Throw the Fight. Make sure you stick in the know with us. Thank you, Phoenix Fitness, for sponsoring this video and this podcast. 15% off. Use the code MSOTD at checkout, fnxfit.com. Link description below. And I can't wait to have Kade back on the podcast once again. And I can't wait to not only do that, but also see them play live once again. And yes, Ryan, if you're listening, you will get Kade's first round on me. But this time it's the second round because, well, this was too much fun. Love seeing you guys live. Let's make it happen once again. All right, guys, that's going to be for me today. Thank you for watching and listening to the Chord Progression Podcast. Brought to you by MSOT Rocks, Rock, and Thrive. My name is Kevin. And you guys know how I end every single one of these episodes with a big, healthy, and hearty see ya! Yeah!